Zachary Quinto, in the NBC miniseries The Slap, your character Harry Apostolou goes on trial for slapping a kid. So, did you slap the kid, or how did you film that scene?
Obviously I didn't slap the kid. Um, the scene was filmed over a course of weeks, actually. It was a complicated technical endeavor, and it was handled in that way. Like, it was broken up so that the kids were really, first of all, when you're working with kids, you have to consider their restricted hours of availability. So it becomes a part of any production, I would say, to really conserve the kid energy for when it's really needed. So there were certain aspects of that scene that we shot without the kids even being around.
So maybe not so much with interrace relations, but race plays a large role in the slap, with many characters attributing their behavior to their Greek heritage. So why do you think it was so important that this family was not just ambiguously Caucasian?
The show was exploring a lot of different social or familial external factors. Like the immigrant experience was also a part of the world of the Slap and the Apostolou family, and certainly particularly Harry, who came to America from a young age and was removed from his native environment in order to be raised in the United States. And I think that set him on a specific kind of path. So I think race and culture actually both factor in. Like, the Greek culture is a huge component in this family dynamic, and then the racial diversity of the family, I think, it's frankly it's representative of the world we live in more than anything else. I mean, I don't think that it was necessarily. I think it's a part of the story. I think it's a part of the novel, but I also feel like it's just an accurate representation of the ethnic composition of our communities.
So what did you find with this role that you hadn't played before on screen?
I like the aspect of it that I thought, like, people who know me from Heroes and from my relationship with NBC, it was kind of really nice to be invited back to that place where it all started, and where I felt like I could explore similar territory, but in a more human way, thereby removing me a little bit further from the genre-oriented, highly stylized graphic novel or science fiction worlds that I've been playing in a little bit as well.
Are you coming back to Heroes for the new season?
I'm not coming back to Heroes, no. I'm really excited that they're making more of that show, and I was thinking about it today, actually, walking down the street. I mean, I had an incredible experience working on that show. It changed so much of my journey in terms of the opportunities that presented themselves to me, and the great friends that I made, and the people that I got to work with, and I'm really grateful for it. But I'm an entirely different person, and I feel creatively like I'm hungry for things to reflect that change and that evolution, rather than in any way kind of going to places that I've already been.
So you've been attached to some of the biggest television franchises of the 21st century. I've already mentioned Heroes. Another one I wanted to ask about was 24, in which you were on for one season, and you're even in the 24 video game, but you never appeared again. Where did you go?
I don't really know where that character went. He went home at the end of the day and never came back, which is fine. That was my first job of real, like, substance or consistency. Anyway, I wouldn't really say there was very much substance involved in my time on 24, but I would say there was consistency, which is like I had that job for the whole season, so it was 10 months or something. And before that, I had done a lot of one-off guest stars or maybe a couple of episodes of a show, but I'd never done anything that was like, oh, I have a job, I'm in this sort of cast, albeit on the real periphery. And I learned a lot from it. There wasn't a lot at stake for me or my character until the very end of the season. He was sort of an information disseminator. He was like a tech guy who would run into bigger meetings with bigger characters in them and sort of proclaim that the police have arrived, or that the I don't know, something happened, or like that was his sort of function on the show. So it was kind of a good way to cut my teeth, I would say, to like show up every couple times a week and be thrown into these environments and learn how it works. But I didn't really feel particularly invested in that show and that character, or in the people that kind of ran it. There wasn't a lot of um, there wasn't a lot of connection there, and that's fine with Kiefer or any of the people that ran the show. But I was grateful for the experience, and yeah, it's its own kind of juggernaut, isn't it? 24.
So what do you consider your best on-screen?
If I watch my work, I watch it to have, I guess, an awareness of what translates or how it translates, but I don't really judge it once it's done because it's out of my hands. You know what I mean? It's that's the thing about film and television, is an actor's contribution is a cog in a much bigger wheel. And I love the process, and I love watching the process unfold, the post-production process. And as a producer, I've had a chance to be a part of that and participate in it on a number of different occasions. But it's where other people's contributions really shape the overall impact of a piece. And it's why I love theater as much as I love theater, because that's the medium in which every single night the responsibility is in the hands of the actors. And even though collaboration has led them to that point, the experience that the audience has is entirely shaped by the journey that the actors take them on. And I think that's what makes theater such a powerful medium, and the reason that I find it the most exhilarating and the most fulfilling. So yeah.
Do you have any theater projects coming up, or what are you excited about these days?
I'm working on it. I really can't wait to get back on stage. And I'm reading a lot of plays right now to find the best one, the one that feels the most right. I'm doing some workshops and readings here in New York, and availing myself to what the next gig on stage will be. But I'm really eager to make it happen sometime in the next year for sure.
I mentioned The Chair earlier. Where are you on a second season of that show?
I don't know, man. I mean, look, it was really well received. Critically, certainly, it was really, really well received. We're really proud of what we did and how we did it. And I know that we're in the process of the conversation with Chris Moore about what the future of the show looks like. I think it has a lot to do with the financial model. That entire series was independently financed, and each of those films was independently financed. So it's like, this is one of the things that I feel in my life as a producer. We've never had a overhead deal or any kind of development structure with the studio or another production entity. We do everything on a project-to-project basis, which is a great thing that allows for a certain kind of freedom and a certain kind of flexibility creatively. But it's problematic when you try to formalize something. And The Chair is actually a really good formula for a documentary series. And so we're trying to figure out now, how do we market it? How do we package it? How do we sell it?
Circling back to The Slap, do you think that it was the right choice for your character Harry to keep the beard as he was going into trial?
Oh, that's interesting. Why do you ask that question?
I don't know. I just thought that he seemed unnecessarily menacing with the beard and with the buzz cut.
I don't really think that Harry would ever factor what other people think of him into any choice that he makes about how he presents himself to the world. I think his sense of presentation to the world is well entrenched and well established, and it's something that from an emotional standpoint, I think he's uncompromising about. So I don't think that the thought would have even necessarily crossed his mind, I should look a different way to sell. I think he so firmly believed in his innocence that he went in holding only that and didn't really need anything else. This guy doesn't really care what other people think of him. He believes he's innocent, and he believes that this is who he is. So that's how he moves through the world kind of all the time.
Okay, well, thanks for indulging that question, and thanks for chatting with us today at Gold Derby. We wish you the best of luck at the Emmys, and look forward to seeing Snowden, Star Trek Beyond, and whatever else you have coming up.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Have a great day. Take care.